So you're probably wondering why we're doing this content from again after we finished it. Um, YouTube decided to delete the VOD. They had two of the content farm videos in it. So we have to do it again. Alright, time to read the cricket man. Alright. Item SCP-783, Object Class Keter, Level 3/783 Classified. Special containment procedures. Personnel must monitor the town of Temby and continue to develop the entity's profile. Its victims are to be retrieved, incinerated, and cataloged in this file. Update. Due to recent events, a stronger Foundation presence has been determined to be necessary for the containment of 783 and its related phenomena. An ancillary building near the local hospital, as well as 2 domiciles, have been commandeered from locals for Foundation use. You'll find out. This property in its entirety has been redesignated as a professional Site 5. Description: 783 is a hostile entity currently preying upon residents of Tenby, a rural hamlet in Oxfordshire, England. It has a period of activity lasting roughly 70 days over the fall and winter months, occurring every 12 years. It exclusively attacks those who are alone and indoors after sunset. Buildings housing 783's current target will experience a steady degradation of their structural integrity. Outwardly, this is visible as faults and breaks on the outer facade, which lend affected structures an angled or crooked appearance. This anomaly extends to any objects which breach the affected building's exterior, causing immediate and severe deformation that is invariably fatal to living subjects. To date, personnel have yet to prevent an attack or been able to provide any means of assistance to 783's targets. Due to this, as well as 783's effects on recording equipment, little is known regarding 783's exact appearance and the nature of anomalous attributes. Victims of 783 attack exhibit gross deformations in their body structure as a result of dozens of compound fractures along their long bones and severely displaced vertebrae. These are healed via the rapid generation of excessive cartilage and osseous tissue. Victims display hyperlacticity of their epidermis and musculature to accommodate the extra tissue, with one subject's forearm extending over 2.4 meters, and another having a recorded height of 12.5 meters. The end result of this malformation and elongation are subjects who visibly present as being wholly serrated or gnarled. Due to the nature of these injuries, most victims are alive after the cessation of a 783 attack, though they often suffer full body paralysis or remain in a persistent vegetative state. 27 living specimens have been acquired and placed on life support. They are held in a wing of a local hospital, requisitioned for Foundation use. Residents of Tempe are aware of the existence of 783, though speaking of it publicly is considered taboo. Researchers have documented a playground song shared among the local youth regarding the anomaly. There lived a crooked man who made a crooked deal. He kept a crooked cane and must catch a crooked creel. He stole a crooked child who cried a crooked squeal, and a crooked little man was broken on the wheel. I had to say it like that. Observation Incident Log appended. A month prior to 783's current period of activity, D209 was selected from a group of volunteers to live in the Foundation-owned property in Tenby. Audio/video recording equipment was installed throughout the house for observation purposes. The following was recorded on the 43rd day of his stay. A video log at 22:34. Second floor bedroom, D209 is lying upright in bed, reading a novel. Living room, life feed expresses a jagged vertical distortion in its display. This begins to lift the frame near the front door and crosses over to the right side towards the hallway. It lasts approximately 23 seconds. At 22:35, first floor hallway, floodlights from the window opposing the camera are obscured, most than entering the hallway. A similar distortion effect occurs central frame, masking object, the image quality further degrades before ceasing transmission. Yeah, this is all we can see of what the Crooked Man is, random person. Just squiggle. Just a squiggle. Yeah. Second floor bedroom, D209 jerks upright, alert, and claims to hear a slow, prolonged scratching sound coming from the first floor. He begins to get up out of bed. Note SCP-783 manifestation confirmed. Visual distortion taken to be an indicator of 783's physical placement within the house. At 22:36, second floor stair, image becomes wavy and distorted. Movement can be seen, though the interference is such that no details can be made out. Second floor bedroom, slow, deliberate footsteps can be heard ascending the stairs. D209 attempts to open a window and escape to no avail. Second floor bedroom, D209 procures a small lamp from the nightstand and makes several attempts to smash through the window. Second floor hallway, sudden video corruption affects this feed as 783 moves directly in front of the camera. The image resolves over a span of 33 seconds as it moves farther down that hall. At this point, the only affected area on the recording is immediately outside the bedroom. Second floor bedroom, D209 freezes. A knock is heard at the door. 22:38, second floor bedroom, D209 approaches the door, wielding the lamp as a cudgel. He asks for the individual at the door to identify themselves, receiving no response. He then asks control if any personnel are able to gain entry. Observing personnel maintain radio silence, D209 braces himself and grabs the doorknob with his free hand. D209 throws the door open. Note, a loud snapping noise is heard throughout the house. All light bulbs on the premises burst simultaneously, including floodlights focused on the property. At 22:40, second floor bedroom, once the camera adjusts to low light conditions, 783 comes into view and is near the open door to the hallway motionless. Second floor bedroom, D209 is screaming, clutching his right arm. It's been fractured just above the elbow and dangles freely. It was observed to swiftly harden, presumably due to rapid bone growth. D209 shouts his intent to escape with his life and charges from the room. Yeah, you'll notice that some things are going to be crooked in the article.
The Crooked Man is not just a person that no one can see in a certain place that's hard to go to, the crooked place, but it's like an infection that makes others crooked
Yeah.
and things crooked. So it's very fitting.
Yeah. 22:41, second floor hallway. As D209 runs past the bathroom, a loud snapping noise is heard. D209 falls to the ground and screams for assistance. He reports that his leg has been broken. Note, video corruption instantly begins to affect the kitchen as the sound is made, ceasing in the bathroom. At 22:45, second floor hallway, D209 is able to bring himself to a stand. He displays his right arm for the camera, which has been broken below the elbow. It is angled in the opposite direction from the previous fracture. D209 curses observing personnel, but reports that his pain is mostly subsided. He limps towards the stairs. Second floor stair. While trying to navigate the stairs, D209 trips and falls. 12 loud snaps are heard in rapid succession. Upon coming to rest, D209 exhibits several more fractures in various places along each limb. He screams as they set and spasm on the landing. At 23:14, second floor stair, D209 begins to ambulate. He struggles to crawl, eventually passing out of frame. At 23:26, Yeah, they are. That's the point. That's literally the point. Being impressed.
Yep, it's like the article is being made slowly crooked.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
it's really good SCP. On floor living room, D209 can be seen dragging himself into the room. He strains moving with great difficulty due to his cumbersome limbs. Each arm is estimated to be over 2 meters in length, with several inflexible brakes that inhibit motion around obstacles. First floor kitchen, 783D manifests, visual feed clears. At 2331, first floor living room, D209 occupies the majority of the living room. His long legs stretch out of frame into the hallway. He has a hand on the knob of the front door, but the length of his fingers impairs the dexterity required to manipulate it. Scratching sound is audible in the hallway. D209 expresses distress immediately before being dragged backwards forcibly and off camera. He begins to scream. Note: 783 and D209 remain in the hallway for the duration of the night. Snapping is heard intermittently. D209 ceases screaming at 427. At 501, a wet suckling noise can be heard, followed by rapid thumping. Incident 783.1. Concurrent with the noises heard at 501 during the D209 trial, all 27 living victims in Foundation care went into seizure. Despite the fact that the majority were brain dead and wholly paralyzed, they convulsed for several minutes. 2 present researchers were injured during the incident. Life support systems for several patients were compromised, killing 5. A vast quantity of earth was disturbed on the outskirts of town during this time. Update. Personnel tasked with investigating the recent seismic event were met with resistance from temby and locals, who crowded around an area in a field of the south of town. After a brief exchange, Agent Collins drew a firearm and discharged a round into the air. The crowd dispersed. Several elongated toes were immediately visible protruding from the freshly exposed earth. A dig team was assembled, and by the following afternoon had unearthed a mass grave, approximately 5 meters across, containing several dozen nude victims of 783. The bodies were well preserved, yet desiccated. Their number was unable to be immediately ascertained owing to the fact that it had been piled on top of one another. They were orientated head down and their arms extending deeper into the pit. Furthermore, most of the victims' limbs had become intertwined or knotted around each other, preventing exhumation without the use of sawing instruments. Ancient Singer elected to extract a tissue sample. During this process, the soil beneath him caved and he tumbled into the pit. Body shifted due to his weight. As he struggled to gain footing, the tangle of limbs gave way and he fell out of sight. Agent Collins promptly commandeered a length of rope and tied it around her waist. She tasked several nearby personnel with freeing her in upon her signal and entered a pit. Approximately 20 meters worth of rope was drawn beneath the corpses as Agent Collins descended. The line became taut after several minutes. She signaled for extraction and was recovered safely. Upon debrief, the agent testified to the existence of Agent Anomalous Cow, the entrance of which is located beneath the victims' corpses. A temporary leave of absence was granted to Agent Collins, and as you can see, Collins seems to be a little bit crooked. Now for the two field logs that we know about. Field log 1, initial D-class exploration for observational purposes, retrieval of MIA personnel, secondary objective. Alright, I gotta go all the way to the top. Following his first recorded exploration regarding the 783 case file, please refer to the primary documentation for further information. Log 1. At 0034, D2172 is chosen to perform preliminary observation of the subterranean temby anomaly, a large circular pit acting as a mass grave for the twisted, elongated corpses of past 783 victims, all facing downward. D2172 is suited in MOPP Level 4 gear and fitted with a retractable harness, communication and video recording devices were hardlined through the tether. They were provided with a handheld photoionization detector, a Geiger counter, and other environmental testing apparatuses. They were allotted a basic survival kit as well as a Ruger LC9 and ample ammunition. Expedition was scheduled to commence 8 o'clock local time, but does not begin until 8:35. This is due to a minor issue regarding D-2172's personnel protective garments. Despite being a proper size for their frame, D-2172 proved incapable of fitting them on. Even with the assistance of personnel, larger gear had to be supplied. Transmission begins as D-2172 is being lowered via crane over the pit of 73 victims. They prod their foot into a fold between the coiled torsos of 2 corpses, which part. They look up and signal for the technician to continue. Visual feed reduces in clarity intermittently as limbs and bodies pass close to the lenses. 12 meters of tether are expended before daylight is completely obscured. D-2172's headlamp activates. Nothing of note can be seen from their position within the knot of corpses. Descent is put on hold when D-2172 begins to thrash. D-2172 becomes insistent that command resume the descent and at a faster rate. They claim to have felt a hand caressing their back. At 18 meters, D-2172 reports a sense of vertigo and expresses confusion regarding the direction of travel. After a brief discussion with command, it is determined that D-2172 had experienced an inversion of gravity. D-2172 manages to reorient themselves and proceeds to climb upwards from their perspective in order to continue descent. Ambient light levels begin to increase as 20 meters of tether are expended. Daylight can be seen shortly thereafter. An overcast is captured as D-2172 breaks the surface. The surrounding area is partially obscured. However, due to countless elongated arms extending upwards from the masses of corpses, D-2172 utilizes 2 of these appendages as leverage. In order to fully extricate themselves, they slowly navigate towards a solid ground. The area is seen to perfectly replicate the town of Temby as it exists in baseline reality. D-2172 is standing in a field on the outskirts of town. To the north is a small stone cottage belonging to a Mr. John Myers, and beyond that, the main road into town. D-2172 turns for a panorama shot. Sparsely wooded areas and fields border D-2172's location in every other direction, confirming that this replication is absolute for as far as can be seen. Thermal and atmospheric readings match those in baseline. D-2172 disengages their harness, with audiovisual feed converting to a wireless stream via a relay device. D-2172 is then instructed to use their photoionization detector to get a head sample of the soil. While D-2172 is testing the sample, researcher Quest notices an oddity regarding the soil surrounding the mass grave on D-2172's end. Upon playback of the footage, dozens of marks can be seen in the soft earth. The pattern of these markings suggests they have been created by fingers being drawn through the ground. This is noted by command. D-2172 is not informed of this development. D-2172 reports that no contaminants have been detected. Command instructs them next to proceed to the Myers cottage and to remain vigilant for any sign of researcher Singer. D-2172 arrives at the cottage and knocks thrice on the door. They pause, awaiting an answer, and then proceed to enter. The cottage appears to be inhabited. D-2172 rummages through the first room, finding nothing of note, and walks into the bedroom. On the wall over the bed is a rough sketch done in charcoal. It depicts the upper body of a reclined humanoid figure holding a rod or staff. Its free hand is outstretched above the headrest. D2172 is instructed to approach and inspect the drawing. D2172 is hesitant, professing to feel a great sense of unease while in the drawing's presence. They advance slowly with each step, and in its direction comes a decrease in quality of the video feed, which begins to break up by the time the drawing is within arm's reach. The video feed is obscured by heavy amounts of static. The audio is drowned out by a shrill whistling noise before D2172 can touch the drawing. Command orders them to withdraw. They acquiesce and back away. Interference is reduced to nominal levels. D2172 is permitted to exit the premises and explore the village proper. D2172 walks in silence for a few minutes before the road sign for Temby becomes visible. They track down a bend in the road where on the ground they find a single work boot. God damn it, dyslexia. Work boot. Picking it up and turning it over in her hands, it becomes clear that it matches those belonging to researcher Singer. D2172 intuits the direction Singer could have been traveling and points out a nearby home. It is a two-story dwelling and a sizable front lawn housing a witch elm. The tree is so to speak dead. The ground around it is littered with broken limbs. The front door of the abode is wide open. D2172 heads towards it. Director Kim, at the time acting as command and overseeing the excursion, requests to be relieved of duty, citing the onset of debilitating migraine. They are escorted to their quarters by Agent Collins. Researcher Bond steps in for Director Kim. I never saw if you can click Director Kim. Okay, that's interesting. I clicked Dr. Kim and it leads to a very dangerous Keter. Okay then.
Oh no. You know what? Why don't we look at that very briefly?
Sure. Yes.
Because wasn't Director Kim infected?
Maybe? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
they were infected. That's why they had to be restrained and then changed out.
Alright, so I'll do a quick description of 3980 and then go back to Crooked Man. Alright. SCP-3980 is an unidentified anomaly responsible for the loss of FOB lock and the deaths of 107 Foundation personnel on February 14th, 2000. This event has been designated Incident Lock 3980 due to its recent acquisition prior to this date. The destructive nature of the event in question, and loss of physical documentation, as well as all hands on site, its exact nature and properties have yet to be definitely ascertained. Oh yeah, so Site 5 right here. First I want to remind that there is no Site 5. Oh. That's where 783 is. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Currently, all information on 3980 has been gleaned through the first-hand accounts of the personnel who are stationed at FOB Lock and has been off-site at the time of the event. These former personnel suffer mild to severe impairment of their mental faculties and memory, possibly due to previous interaction with 3980. Despite this, all personnel are in agreement that Incident Lock 3980 is the result of sabotage on the part of one of their number. Each suspect claims to know who the saboteur is, but are incapable of providing this information when prompted. The suspects are otherwise wholly compliant with their imprisonment. Following the summarized list of traits have been ascribed to 3980 by former FOB Lock personnel. Parentheticals denote sources of each claim. 3980 is either self-replicating, researcher Bond. Oh. Researcher Bond steps in for Dr. Kim. Self-sustaining security chief Mattis, or possibly ectoentropic Dr. Walters. There may be a few as 5 Dr. Peterson, or as many as 10,000 instances of private odd of 3980. What is this? This is 3980. I clicked Director Kim and this pops up. Jerry wants to.
Yeah, it's basically an infection of the crooked man that lives outside the crooked man.
Yeah. 3980 is infectious, being transmissible between human subjects, researcher bond. 3980 is a space-time aberration, researcher quest. 3980 requires either a willful human operator host, D774, or conspirator D209 to enter an active state. 3980 exists in a purely metaphysical sense and is a potent informational hazard. Full cognizance of 3980 is sufficient to kill subjects, Director Kim. 3980 is physically uncontainable due to the size of 100 picometers, Ancient Narup, or 1.6 billion kilometers, Dr. Lafayette. Okay, so that's a quick description of 3980. Okay, well, that's terrifying.
Oh. Uh, Professor, Director Kim is definitely not the director anymore.
Yeah.
Oh.
D2172 crosses the foyer and enters the living room. There are signs of previous struggle on the couch is overturned, as in a small end table. There's a hole in the wall in the bottom of the floor. D2172 steps over the shattered remains of a tabletop lamp into the adjoining kitchen. This room, in a similar state of disarray, dishes, foodstuffs, and appliances that would have been on the shelves or countertop litter the floor, leading back to the living room. Most of these items have incurred damage, suggesting that they have been stuck or thrown with considerable force. As D2172 nears the sink, a small pool of blood can be seen on the floor. There's a clear pattern of cast-off splatter on the walls and counter, with long strokes indicating that an assailant delivered several successive blows with a bladed weapon. D2172 kneels to take a sample of the blood, and upon standing, a butcher's block can be seen laying on its side next to the sink. All the slots are filled save for one intended for a meat cleaver. D2172 notes this fact. A series of passive blood stains leads from D2172's location and towards a door on the far end of the room. The door is heavily pockmarked and scratched, indicating assault. It is found to be locked from the other side. D2172 attempts to kick the door in, only manages to splinter some of the wood along the door frame before becoming winded after 3 attempts. They walk back towards the other end of the kitchen, take a deep breath, and charge at the door. D2172 shoulders the door at full speed, breaching it successfully. Their momentum carries them over the door's threshold, where they panic and brace the wall for support in order to stop themselves from falling down a flight of stairs leading to the basement. D2172 gains their bearings and is chided for their reckless behavior. Command instructs them to enter the basement. After trying the light switch, which fails to produce a result, they have a brief discussion with Command on the merits of documenting the contents of the basement. Place heavy emphasis on the value of their own life, they are eventually persuaded to continue on threat of being cast adrift. D2172 activates their headlamp. They draw their firearm to disengage their safety and carefully descend in a low ready stance, hugging the wall opposite the railing. The basement is largely empty. D2172 sweeps the area, and something on the ground in the far corner of the room glints under the light of their headlamp. D2172 approaches and finds the missing meat cleaver. Wet with blood, they kneel to inspect the cleaver, and upon standing, they notice a quarter-meter wide hole in the concrete wall, an exhaust vent leading above ground. A piece of fabric is hanging from inside it. Closer inspection reveals to be a pant leg. D2172 pulls at the article, which is found to be a tattered pair of tan slacks previously worn by researcher Singer. A rustling is heard from within the vent. D2172 leans in closer to inspect, and something fleshy can be seen which quickly moves up a bend in the pipe and out of sight. D2172 promptly withdraws from the premises. Due to the discoveries within the domicile, researcher Singer is presumed to have been killed in action. D2172 is instructed to travel out of town in order to further document the nature of the area itself and determine its actual boundaries, if any. Little of note occurs for the next 40 minutes as D2172 travels north and out of the town down Temby's main street. D2172 is now outside Timmy's town limits, continuing on the main road, which now winds through a densely wooded grove of silver birches. This geography remains consistent with that of baseline for following 2 kilometers, at which point forest gives way to fields. It's not until a small cottage is spotted ahead that D2172 expresses concern. They stop and survey the surrounding area, revealing that they had somehow emerged back on the south side of Timby. D2172 conveys to command that they cannot see the limbs of 783 victims, which should have been visible extending out of the body pit. They diverge from the path and run towards the expected location of the victims. Upon reaching it, there's a large circular area of overturned soil and a distinct lack of corpses. There are no signs of D2172's presence here either. A previously discarded sample bag, along with a relay device and accompanying tethered harness, are absent. D2172 begins to panic and is instructed to hold their position while command decides upon a course of action. Researcher Bond confers with the on-hand technician to confirm the status of D2172's harness. It is relayed that it has not been retracted prematurely. Alright, good night, random person. Nor had any length of tether been expended since D2172 set aside their harness. After some deliberation, it is determined that D2172 has possibly entered an interactive spatial zone situated adjacent from their original area of entry. It is then decided that exploration beyond this point would be best be handled by personnel experienced with excursions of this nature. D2172 is instructed to follow the road back towards the entry point. D2172 is traveling down the road through the silver birch forest at a brisk pace. Finally conversing with command, it is as they remark of the absence of any form of life that a rustle of leaves can be heard. D2172 turns towards the source of the noise to find a naked body of an elongated 783 victim. It is sprawled across the road, unmoving a few dozen meters away. 2172 swears loudly and then turns to continue on the patch. Another 783 victims is stretched along the road before him, some distance away, also unmoving. D2172 withdraws their firearm and takes a step towards it. A rustling and snapping sound can be heard behind D2172, who again turns to face the victim behind them. Although the body's position remains unchanged, it is clear that the trunk and arms had grown elongated, twisting and breaking, placing them closer to D2172's position. More snapping can be heard once again from behind D2172. They rapidly turn and fire at the 783 victim, burying their path, whose neck had elongated and bent such that it had placed their head roughly a meter away from D2172. At eye level, though several rounds are discharged directly into its face, it elicits no reaction. Snapping can be heard once again from the unobserved victim behind D2172, who absconds from between the entities by running off the road and into the woods. D2172 runs for several minutes eastward, ignoring command's advice to keep the road within view. They eventually stop to catch their breath and recuperate, coming to rest momentarily on a large rock. There's no sign of pursuit from the 783 victims. D2172 uses this opportunity to reload their firearm. Upon unholstering it, they take some time to consume an MRE, consult with command on their relevant position, and determine the proper direction of travel. A moment is taken to alleviate themselves, and they set off. The trek is largely uneventful over the next 14 minutes. Before D2172 stops, they kind of feel minute vibrations in the ground coming in short, punctuated bursts. Though they are sure that the sensation may be attributable to the unstable region of space-time in which they are in, something that should not be concerning, they insist on remaining still, listening. They inform command of muted thumping noise, coinciding with the vibrations. This is not picked up on radio. They advance carefully, again readying their firearm off in the far distance. The camera captures a single silver birch tree being lifted vertically out of sight above the tree line. D2172 does not seem to have witnessed it, as command attempts to communicate this to D2172. Comes back down through the tree tops much closer to D2172 and impacts the ground with enough force to shake the ground. It can now be seen that despite its thickness and mottled, mottled white coloration, it is not in fact a birch tree. From D2172's vantage point, it cannot be seen to have any branches, and it extends to a point somewhere above the canopy. D2172 is instructed to approach and physically inspect it. Before they can act upon this, another such object comes down directly next to D2172, knocking them to the ground. Once on their feet, they approach the second object. They pause once they see the faint impression of ridges and grooves running along the object's side. Opposite of it, a flattish, horny nail plate. D2172 fires at the object and draws blood. It quickly withdraws. A deep, protracted scream emanates from above D2172, who breaks into a run. D2172 runs through the forest, swearing incessantly and begging for some form of assistance or support from command. As they run, more objects crash down around them, seemingly trying to hit D2172 directly. They break from the forest. They are now on the northern outskirts of Temby. As D2172 hurries too close the distance to town, another of unidentified objects collides with D2172, knocking them on their back. The object comes to rest beside D2172, taking up the majority of visual feed. D2172's gaze follows the object, tracing up its length. Without the obstruction of the canopy, it can be seen to bend and twist, terminating several hundred meters in the air. D2172 screams when they discover its source. The nude form of Researcher Singer is suspended high in the air, balanced on elongated and grossly enlarged fingers. Researcher Bonds stands from her position at the control console, doubles over, and proceeds to vomit profusely. A member of medical staff rushes to her side in time to catch her as she falls unconscious. Dr. Pearson elects to take her place at the command console. Agent Collins arrives to help carry Researcher Bond to the medical bay, where she is to receive corrective treatment, and it's crooked. The singer creature screams a hollow sound, lifting one finger from somewhere deep within the silver birch grove. Felling several trees as they drag it towards D2172. D2172 rolls to their left and out of its path. They withdraw their weapon and fire at Singer, failing to hit their mark. The Singer creature can be seen to lift its left hand, slowly drawing its digits together. Fuck, where did it go? together to grab D2172. D2172 swiftly comes to a stand and runs in the opposite direction. Digits can be heard colliding with one another behind them. They safely reach the main road and do not slow their pace as they follow it south through town. Now thumping can be heard as a single creature ambulates on their digits in pursuit. D2172 narrowly avoids a finger as it sweeps past them to the right, crashing through a chain link fence surrounding one of the houses. Another finger plummets through the roof of an abode instead of 2172. D2172 swerves repeatedly as they come around and bend where they found Research Singer's boot. They pass the roadside, nearly falling as they trip over their own feet. D2172's pace begins to slow as they are clearly becoming winded. The Myers cottage comes into view, and shortly thereafter, arms can be seen extending from out of the body pit. Command encourages D2172, urging them to reach the pit and assuring them that the technician standing by is prepared to reel them back in. The singer creature screeches. D2172 is knocked aside with a great force, tumbling into the field. Visual feed is lost due to incurred damage. D2172 can be heard screaming and cussing with ambient volume, suggesting that they are getting further and further away from the recorder. The thumping of the singer creature's fingers can be heard, becoming more and more distant as well. Silence is recorded for the final half hour. Dr. Peterson's orders the termination of audio feed and declares D2172 as lost. It is decided that D2172's harness may be recalled for further future use. Agent Collins arrives in the control room and discusses the matter with Dr. Peterson. Collins asserts that there is no evidence that D2172 was captured or had expired. Citing an ethics committee mandate on the exploration of non-incursive extra-dimensional locales, they persuade Dr. Peterson to leave available D2172's harness. Several personnel remain on hand for the next several hours. At 2:13 local time, the presiding technician reports that they had witnessed the tether moving. After a moment of stillness, they are able to observe it becoming briefly taut as the line is tugged on twice by D2172's signal for extraction. Medical personnel are notified, and it is anticipated that D2172 will need to be tended to. After a minute, D2172's empty body harness breaks the service. It appears that none of the straps had been properly secured prior to being recalled. The harness seems to be caught on something within the pit. The tether continues to retract, revealing the hand of D2172 grasping to the harness, which slips out of their grip. D2172's hand can be seen to move animatedly, attempting to grab hold of something to keep it from slowly sinking back into the mass of corpses. D209 rushes towards the pit, grabbing hold of D2172's hand almost before it falls out of sight. They begin to sink into the knot of bodies as well. D774, Dr. Lafayette, and Private Odd quickly come to assist D209, forming a human chain in which their combined strengths begin to pull the pair of D-class from the pit. D209 is successfully extricated. His arms are outstretched, hands still grasping that of D2172, whose hand comes back into view as the four men pull approximately 3 meters of D2172's forearm are dislodged from the body pit. It begins to bend and snap at several new points of articulation. D209 lets go. D2172 is reclaimed by the pit. Class go to the hand pit. Ice Cream
Sorry.
Dragon.
Sorry, that's just a very good image that's very gross.
Yeah. Alright. The following is a second recorded exploration regarding the 783 case file. Please refer to primary documentation for further information. Field Log 2. Due to the events which transpired during 783L1, it is determined that the spatial zone accessible through the knot of corpses within the town of Temby is like recursive, being bordered on all sides of successful iterations of itself. Essentially, the dimension consists of perfect copies of a single cell in an endless grid layout. Special Operative SO would be required to effectively traverse the locale. SO Nix is requisitioned from Site 121 in the United States. She was chosen due to her expertise in traversing extraspatial spatial locales featuring recurring topology. Having personally mapped 27 iterations of SCP Redacted, engineered a supply line for Mobile Task Force Tierfine Black during their second tour of SCP Redacted, and having successfully navigated an escape route through Site Redacted during emergency extraction of assets. After full debriefing, several viewings of D2172's exploration log, SO Nix spends her first week on site personally inspecting the town limits of baseline, temby, and denoting points of interest along the wooded outskirts on her personal map. It's only after she acquainted herself with the local topography that she requisitions materials from HQ and makes final preparations for her dive into the temby pit of corpses. Really, Polka? On the 8th day, SO Nix returns to the site with the following. One. Is that supposed to be the roughly symbol?
Hmm?
Next to 1000, is that the roughly symbol?
Yeah, that's the wavy symbol.
Okay, so roughly. Okay. Roughly 1000 referencing exit markers, REM, a prismatic compass and a map of Tembi, sufficient rations for a 3-day excursion, wireless AV surveillance camera, and M1014 shotgun with side saddle, 12 gauge buckshot X16, shotgun shell bandolier, 12 gauge buckshot X20, 12 gauge slug X36, one 24-inch machete, Unit K9121, 2-year-old Dutch Shepherd Tafos. Agent Collins is chosen to oversee command during an excursion owing to the sickness which had affected her colleagues during the previous expedition's broadcast. SO Nix spends an hour in the evening practicing quick load maneuvers for her firearm. By noon, she is outfitted in full tactical protective gear. Both SO Nix and K9121 are lowered through the Tembe mass graves. Grave one after the other at sunrise. Once within a Tempe replica, SO Nix is able to repair and relay device installed during the first expedition by D2172. The camera feed activates. There is a light early morning fog permeating the air as the feed activates. SO Nix scans the surrounding fields and farmlands. Identifying no immediate threats, there's no sign of D2172. He turns and calls out to K9121, who is partially obscured by the arms reaching up from the body's pit tangle of corpses. As K9121 comes around to meet up with SO Nix, it passes beneath a low-hanging limb from one of the bodies, which breaks with an audible crack. The gnarled limb stops just short of touching K9121, before it is swiftly severed by SO Nix's machete. As the pair depart, intermittent cracks can be heard from the ground appendage as it continues to convulse and fracture. The first 15 minutes of their travels consist of heading in a southeasterly direction, gradually identifying and memorized aspects of the environment such as fauna and rock formations flanking the wooden path out of town. Due to lack of life forms, the only sounds are crunching leaves as they progress. As once a felled tree is spotted that SO Nix identifies a point which should be in the northwestern area of the town. At this point, an REM is hung around a nearby branch. SO Nix walks off the patch and into the woods to further delineate the area in which the replicate Tembe ends. The next cell in the grid begins. SO Nix methodically begins canvassing the woods and cross-referencing her map, placing REMs to delineate the boundaries of the primary zone. K9121 bounds through the woods alongside her heard during this time, occasionally sniffing the area. 45 minutes pass uneventfully until K9121 pauses, alert and focused on the area often distance ahead. SO-Nix readies her shotgun and pair proceed with caution. Take a little bit of a break from reading for a second there. Whew. Right. Also, um, if you want to get me a Christmas gift, I'm doing this because new people in chat. You want to get me a Christmas gift this year? Donate to the charity. It's right there. I think it's still active. Did I leave it active? I think I left it active.
Immune Deficiency Foundation is still there.
Okay, good. Yeah. Donate to it. Because if you get the goal, I'll make merch for next year. Anyways. Up ahead, a long, gnarled white shape can be seen sneaking through the undergrowth in between trees, partially obscured beneath scattered leaves and detritus. K9121 approaches within a meter of the object before halting at SO-Nix's command. Upon approach, mottled white flesh can be seen, can be made out, as well as varicose veins running across its length. The appendage trails off into the distance outside the boundaries of primary temby. Similarly, on one end, and the other end terminates in the average sized foot nearby. At the beseech of command, SO-Nix moves to investigate the foot, which can be seen to sport a colorful tattoo encircling the shin. Closer inspection reveals it to be an oriental dragon, its mouth open and consuming a tail and an Ouroboros. This confirms the identity of the cadaver as being D2172. SO-Nix acts as command for orders concerning course of action. An alarm is set off within the base. Command is notified that Dr. Lafayette has escaped their quarters with the assistance of D774. A search unit is deployed, and the residents of baseline Temby are notified of the fugitives. Yep. Receiving no guidance from command, SO-Nix states her intention to follow D2172's limb through the woods and into the next cell in the grid. She calls K9121 to her side, and they begin walking. 3 quick bone splintering cracks can be heard behind the pair. SO-Nix quickly turns, drawing her shotgun, to see what the ankle of D2172 has snapped and twisted such that the foot is raised off the ground and slightly coiled. Toes pointed in her direction, K9121 puts itself in front of her, raises its hunches, and emits a low growl. As SO-Nix backs away slowly, she puts an additional 3 meters between herself and the foot with no signs of further development from it. She whistles for K9121, and they continue following the limb. The two follow D2172's leg for approximately 1.5 kilometers, where it then zigzags up a nearby incline, crossing perpendicular to a dirt path that ascends a rocky hill. Checking her map, SO-Nix identifies herself as having arrived at the base of Shadow's Peak, Temby's highest point of elevation, which lay to the north of town. She attempts to radio command to no avail, then reports that she will ascend the hill in order to use elevation to canvass the area and refine a sit rep. The ascent takes roughly 20 minutes. Dr. Lafayette is recovered by Temby Constable after trying to enlist the help of local police. They are brought back to base. Agent Collins leaves the control room in order to aid Dr. Lafayette and ensure he receives proper medical care. D774 was shot and killed during a confrontation that led to Dr. Lafayette's capture. The remains are returned to base. Crossing the second leg of the hill, the trail can be seen to lead alongside a rocky wall before ending the mouth of a small cave. SO-Nix notes that this cave does not exist in baseline Temby. As she enters the entrance, the visual feed degrades slightly. K9121 whines quietly and is massaged by SO-Nix.
I return.
Hey, Hatchet.
Welcome back.
Let's see, how
Also,
far are we into it?
Well, L2.
Sounds pretty far.
Also, we found out something interesting. I want to reread it for you, Hatchet.
Well, Jerry was about to say something. What were
Okay.
you
yeah, it's
about to say,
highly
Jerry?
related to what she was going to say. It's connected
Oh,
to
okay.
director Kim. You know, the director that was infected?
Yeah.
The infection is its own SCP.
Oh.
Yeah. Alright. I'll reread this for you, Hatchet. SCP-3980 is an unidentified anomaly responsible for the loss of FOB lock and the deaths of 107 Foundation personnel on February 14th, 2000. This event has been designated Incident Lock 3980. Due to its recent acquisition prior to this date, the destructive nature of the event in question, and the loss of physical documentation, as well as all hands on site, its exact nature and properties have yet to be definitively ascertained. Currently, all information on 3980 has been gleaned through the first-hand accounts of the personnel who were stationed at FOB Lock and had been off-site at the time of the event. These former personnel suffer mild to severe impairment of their mental faculties and memory, possibly due to previous interaction with 3980. Despite this, all personnel are in agreement that Incident Log 3980 is a result of sabotage on the part of one of their number. Each suspect claims to know who the saboteur is, but are incapable of providing this information when prompted. The suspects are otherwise wholly compliant with their imprisonment. The following is a summarized list of traits that have been ascribed to 3980 by former FOB Lock personnel. Parentheticals denote sources of each claim. 3980 is either self-replicating, researcher Bond, self-sustaining, security chief Mateus, or possibly ectoentropic, Dr. Walters. There may be as few as 5, Dr. Pearson, or as many as 10,000 instances, Private Odd, of 3980. 3980 is infectious, being transmissible between human subjects, researcher Bond. 3980 is a space-time aberration, researcher Quest. 3980 requires either a willful human operator/host, D774, or conspirator, D209, to enter an active state. 3980 exists in a purely metaphysical sense and is a potent informational hazard. Full cognizance of 3980 is sufficient to kill subjects. Director Kim. 3980 is physically uncontainable due to its size of roughly 100 picometers, Nareth, or 1.6 billion kilometers, Dr. Lafayette. So that's a brief description of that SCP.
I see.
They're a little crooked over there.
Nah.
Alright. In between static interference, the cave is seen to possess signs of habitation. To the right, the walls are seen to have been carved to create small shells, speckled with indiscernible filth. An ancient cast iron lidded pot sits in the center of the room atop of a mound of partially burnt petrified wood, encircled by rocks. On the left, discoloration in a roughly 3x1 area of cave's rear suggests former existence of bedding in that corner, long since rotted away. Nix takes 2 steps in before stopping short. She looks to K9121, who remains outside the cave's entrance, head lightly bowed and his tail tucked between its legs. Nix heads over to K9121, kneels down and coddles the animal, petting it and commanding it to remain in place. Standing back up, she moves inside to check the shelves. Small bits of wicker, possibly some form of ornamentation, crumble upon being touched. Advancing to the pot, a carving can be seen on its side, which she inspects. She removes the pot's lid and gags. It is shown to be filled with a murky brown pool of stagnant water, within which floats several objects unable to be made out until Nix activates her headlamp and gasped at the sight of over a dozen small bones. Based off the most clearly visible of these, and shit, is it Yolna or Olna?
Ulna.
Olna. It is estimated that the remains belonging to an individual no more than 2 months of age. The display is further plagued by static. SO replaces the lid and sets the pot down carefully. She pauses momentarily, partially stands and staggers, and then proceeds to fall to her knees and vomit profusely. She curses quietly and sniffles afterwards for a minute, obscuring the camera feed as she wipes her face. Looking up, a small nook in the cave wall can be seen at foot level, beside where the bed previously lay. Something small and brown is inside it. SO takes a few deep breaths and then raises to a stand. Static builds as SO crosses over to investigate. She kneels, reaches her hand inside, and pulls out the object. Visual field, the visual field is overcome by white noise, though SO can still be heard, who reports finding some form of diary. Flipping through the first few weathered pages reveals a little of import. Any content that may have once been present has long since faded. She continues to scan the document when a hollow popping noise rings out. Turning quickly, no immediate threat or change in surroundings is seen. K9121 begins approaching cautiously. Another sharp, wet pop is heard. K9121 growls as SO glances about for the noise's source. It sounds off a third time, and the lid of the cast iron pot vibrates as if it struck from within. SO flees the cave. With D774's remains being tended to by Dr. Kim, Agent Collins and Dr. Lafayette arrive at the control room. Agent Collins dons the headset and announces her presence to SO has reached the top of the Shadow's Peak. By the time of command is able to reach her and relays the events of the previous hour. From her perspective, she is clearly able to see both the replicate Temby to the east where she entered, as well as his interactive copy to the west in the cell she now occupies. In a panoramic shot, a dozen windmills of further Temby replicates can be viewed far off in the distance. She explains to command that although the pattern of the surrounding area supports the recursive iteration theory of this dimension's layout, there are noted inconsistencies within the grid she inhabits. Beyond the cave, which did not exist in baseline replicate Temby, she points out a small grove of dead trees that seemingly has no parallel elsewhere in the grid. Similarly, SO claims to have spotted an unidentifiable structure in the town center of Temby in her cell. Upon query from command as to why there will be a deviation in the pattern, SO suggests that the presence of D2172 across the boundary of two iterations may be causing fluctuations in the integrity of the grid cell she occupies. Linking it to the cellular lysis, SO explains how the border between spatial zones could be weakened by foreign material occupying two cells in a grid simultaneously for an extended period of time, a problem that prohibited the building of Outpost Number 41 within SCP Redacted several years prior. Despite the instability of the cell, she posits that the deformations in the zone may be reflections of the historical state of Temby and therefore present a valuable research opportunity that merits further exploration. As SO begins her descent, small cracks and pops can be heard, still reverberating within the cave as she passes. She does not look inside. Someone is sobbing. Sorry for stopping. Bus is snoring really loud.
Nah.
It's cute.
Someone is snoring.
Yeah. Great.
And someone's lost in a mangrove biome.
You're stuck in 783.
It's not that. Forg! Hello, Forgs.
Oh my god. Anyways, at the bottom of the hill, a patch of dead grass and foliage can be seen where previously D2172's leg had lain. K9121 sniffs about this area and begins following the trail further into the cell in the direction of the next temby. The two travel at a steady pace, with SO regularly checking behind them as they progress. The forest slightly darkens as the cloud cover obscures the sun. A sharp report of bow snapping echoes in the distance as SO holds her shotgun in a low ready position and double checks the safety. Another crack, the splintering of bones sounds off repeatedly from the indiscernible source as SO levels her weapon, attempting to follow the noise. Another crack, small branches and leaves fall and flutter about as the foot of D2172 emerges from the canopy, dangling from above. It quickly twists and breaks, turning to face SO with its toes. It is merely met with 3 rapid bursts of buckshot. The appendage dangles loosely, dripping blood from its shredded remains. The foot is almost entirely destroyed, consisting of chunks of flesh suspended by the ankle, with only the posterior and anterior digits remaining. It lolls to and from the concussive force of the shots, swaying impotently. K9121 snarls and barks at the appendage. SO keeps her weapon trained on it as the two work to carefully circumvent it. It is as they pass it that the appendage swiftly plunges to the ground, trailed by several meters of leg. The appendage is swollen from countless fractures along its length, giving it dozens of points of extra articulation. SO breaks into a run as the coil mass begins to shift. Two barrel through the forest, K9121 in the lead, leaping and dodging over obstacles in the terrain. Behind them, a roar of rustling and banging can be heard as the leg bursts through the foliage and violently rebounds off trees, tearing through the woods in pursuit. SO takes a sharp right, then a left, followed by another right, an attempt to carve a path that would have D2172's leg caught up and entangled between trees. As K9121 continued on a more direct route towards town, SO is now alone. There's a crash as the appendage ricochets off the nearby tree to her right, with the remains of D2172's foot shooting perpendicular across her path. Bearing progress as the length of like snakes behind it, SO transitions to a low slide, avoiding collision, and fires into the flesh of the leg. The leg convulses as she rolls, raises to her feet, ducks beneath the limb, and breaks off running. After 5 paces, the feet shakes as she is struck from behind and falls face first to the ground.
You're cutting in and out a bunch.
God damn it, I hate Discord. Do I need to reread anything?
I think I get it.
Okay,
Just let you know.
gotcha. Quickly coming to a kneel, her shotgun can be seen laying several feet away in the brush. As she begins to crawl towards it, there is a quick flash of mottled flesh across the feed. The limb crosses in front of her once, twice, 3 times. As though Nyx groans as the appendage wraps around her. Looking down, it is clear that her arms are pinned to her sides, a machete laying at her hip, inches from her grasping hand. As she struggles, the leg pulls back, twisting in on itself ever further, coiling around her like a snake, jerking the feet about as if she spun backwards in its many folds. The twirling ceases and SO Nyx screams as the limb tightens around her. The remains of D2172's foot come into view. It hovers before SO Nyx. There's a pair of cracks as the remaining pinky and big toes splinter and fracture, forming 2 sharp prongs that pinpoint her face. It rears back momentarily before it launches forward. Just as about to strike SO Nyx, there's a flurry of motion. K9121 leaps from off camera, catching D2172's foot in its mouth. The limb writhes as the animal wrestles with the appendage. Leg loosens, dropping. So next, the appendage twists and curls as K9121 tears into it with its teeth. Quivering in an unnatural manner, So Nyx crawls towards her firearm as they contend with one another in the background. She grabs her gun and turns in time to see the leg sweep under the feet of K9121, wrap around the K9 and retract at a rapid pace. The dog yelps as the lamb snarls it and absconds off into the woods away from So Nyx. Agent Collins informs So Nyx that she's progress towards the next town. She is advised not to follow the limb and to consider the animal a lost asset. Ignoring command, So Nyx charges after the fleeing leg. The knot of flesh wrapping around K9121 tears a path through the forest, ripping through the brush and felling some of the smaller trees. So Nyx curses and pants as she chases after it. The leg begins to draw itself upward and pull the animal away up alongside it and out of sight. As it drags itself away, the mass becomes caught up between a pair of trees positioned beside one another. K9121 whimpers as the leg constructs in an attempt to squeeze through. So Nyx catches up, discarding her shotgun and lunging forward with a swift blow from her machete. Hi, Festus.
What?
Anyways, there's a high-pitched shriek in the distance. She strikes it again and again and again. She bellows a long scream as she viciously assaults the leg, cutting clear into one of the flesh and revealing bone. She hacks and chops and shouts as the dog whines and attempts to free itself. The leg ceases its attempts to pull through the trees and instead raises sharply upwards, knocking So Nyx away. The cries of K9121 can be heard above her before traveling off into the far distance out of earshot. Someone is sobbing. So Nyx screams in anger. She stands shouting threats off into the wilderness after the leg, crying out for it to return, swearing retribution. It takes several minutes for her to calm down. She radios command asking for help to hunt the leg of D2172 and is denied. She is instructed to either investigate the Timmy in her cell or abort the mission. She chooses the former and retrieves her firearm and continues progress. Given the distance traveled during the chase, it is not long before she is met with the farmland which encircles this version of Tenby. Like the baseline town, the farmlands here are barren. Not a single piece of vegetation sprouts from the dirt, which is seen to appear dry and infertile as she treks onward. Entering the town, So Nyx stalks silently through the streets. She rounds a corner, peering into the general store as she passes, revealing several 783 victims pressed up against the plate glass. There is still another on the second story of the hardware store across the street. 3 more peer out from within a sedan, half parked on a curb, having crashed into a lamppost. Another is visible beneath the gate of a storm drain, his face contorted and pressed up against the bars, with enough force that bits of fat press upwards through them. None move to attack. A sudden cacophony of splintering wood and breaking glass interrupts the silence. Turning around, So Nyx sees that the buildings flanking at the end of the street have taken a broken, crooked appearance. Their foundations crumble, a hallmark of 783's influence. Before So Nyx can react, a pair of buildings collapse inwards, blocking the road she entered from. It is unknown if this is a sudden noise or possible presence of 783 itself, but the corpses spotted throughout town begin to shudder violently. The trio in the car can be seen to thrash about wildly. The bones break and snap and crack and rapidly heal and stretch. Within seconds, the entirety of the sedan is full of flesh knotted together and writhing. The windshield cracks from the pressure. D774 enters the control room. As So Nyx continues towards the town center, it is here that a major deviation from baseline Temby is discovered. In the center of the intersection, before the steps of the town hall, stands A sizable wooden platform, supported on a large, sturdy base. Erected in the middle of the platform is a large, rounded contraption. There's an unidentifiable mound upon it. SO approaches, ascending the stairs, revealing the contraption to be a wheel with several spokes radiating from its center. The mound is a nude and disheveled human, strapped to the device, face down. In each area where the limbs cross an empty space between the wheel spokes, appendage is gnarled and broken, with her left leg swollen and grossly extended. It trails off to the side of the platform. Looking to her right, a singular piece of parchment can be seen nailed to a post atop the stairs. The document is sensationalized proclamation of guilt, identifying an individual by the name of Hinger Winnebald. The paper denounces him as a highwayman guilty of theft, child murder, rape, witchcraft, and cannibalism. It finally goes on to state the ruling of his punishment, asserting that he has to be broken on the wheel. SO confirms that the commander is a clear capture of the paper's contents before she casts it aside. She takes a moment to rack her shotgun with slug ammunition and moves towards the Macrobee display. Firing the corpse with the barrel of her gun elicits no response.
The word macabre.
Cobb, okay.
I think it's French again.
She definitely circles around its front to get a look at its face. Kneeling down, the visage of 2172 comes into view. His face is bloated, features twisted in agony. Upon verifying his identity, SO follows the length of his leg with her camera, seeing it lead off behind a nearby building. She states her intention to follow it to K9121. It was interrupted by a low moan. Turning back, the course of D2172's eyes focus on her. She reels backwards and discharges her weapon. Due to close proximity, the shot removes the upper part of D2172's head. The body gurgles and sees as she stands and fires the next 2 rounds down into its trunk, causing D2172 to spray a torrent of blood from the remains of its mouth. SO recoils as she is coated in these fluids. Stumbling back, there's a sickening crack at the lower jaw of D2172, contorts and lengthens along the right side, and another snap as the left half breaks and extends. 3 more cracks see as the jawline widening and lengthening. It lashes out as she attempts the quick cloud, just missing her face and spraying yet more blood that obscures the feed. The sound of SO hurriedly descending the staircase is heard. While there can be seen to be movement on the camera feed, no details are discernible. The next several minutes consist primarily of audio as SO evades and combats the ever-breaking jaw of D2172. All that can be heard are her shouts and cries and breaking and splintering of bone, the sound of rent flesh as SO fends off the attack with her machete. In the midst of the struggle, a lone shotgun blast rings out. The weapon can be heard clattering to the ground, for all falls silent. The feed is darkened as SO rubs the camera, clearing it the best of her ability. It will remain smeared for the remainder of the filming, but the aftermath of the struggle can be seen. The jaw of D2172 stretches from his corpse, crisscrossing throughout the intersection. Blood blankets the majority of the area, and several teeth are visible, having been knocked from the gun line. SO is panting and heaving. She looks down, revealing that she's lost the index finger on her right hand. She swears as she covers it with her free hand in an attempt to stem the bleeding. She canvasses the ground for a lost digit, which is then spotted laying several feet away. She rushes towards it. It seizes and wriggles, snapping and beginning to elongate. SO turns to retreat, dipping down mid-run to grab her firearm as she flees. Despite prodding from command, SO does not return to the execution platform to scour for for more evidence, she instead rushes along the length of the leg trailing from D-2172's corpse. She curses over the radio at Agent Collins, casting her helmet aside. The last that is seen as SO Nix is her running down a length of road alongside D-2172's leg. She follows it around the corner. Several minutes pass uneventfully. The leg of D-2172 then shifts and gyrates, slapping the ground with excessive force for approximately 30 seconds before becoming still. A minute later, the limb spontaneously cracks. There's heavy breathing. Someone is sobbing. The area darkens as it casts in shadow. The feed terminates as the camera is destroyed. SO Nix is deemed AWOL. With the nature of the mission fully understood, it is determined that fully armed force will be required for the capture or elimination of 783.
Aliens.
Did we?
Okay. It's all written by the same creator, but the creator's name is only put on the L2. It's SD Lock, which is a very popular SCP writer, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's it of 73 reading. Holy shit, that was a while. Let me get the thumbnail.
Probably didn't help that the director Kim thing was added to it, like twice. Man, it is crazy knowing that the infection can leave the area that it's supposedly like stuffed into.
Yeah. Alright,
Hmm.
Alright. See. Alright, sending the thumbnail in 3, 2, 1. We apparently put a 0 for the thumbnail.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's accurate, although I still hate it.
Yeah, like their shitty art style notwithstanding, it's fine.
Yeah. Which means once we finish the video, I'm gonna have to redo the the percentage thing. Because it's gonna be different because of 015
Yeah.
ID.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, it shouldn't be too bad, and you now know that you can just
Yeah.
like look at one of the features on the site.
Okay, so they did include the author. That's probably because they didn't do L2, which did have the, author license.
So what did they say, that there's just like no author, or?
Yeah, just says no author.
Eh,
You ready?
ready as I'll ever be.
In 3, 2, 1.
The young woman sat comfortably in her bed. It was around midnight. She should be getting to sleep since she had work early the next morning, but she was just too engrossed in the TV show to stop. It was a hit drama, and one of the protagonist's exes had just come back and they were having a huge fight. She sat watching, but froze as she seemed to hear a sort of scratching noise coming from down the hallway. She hesitated, then switched off the TV, so she was immediately thrown into darkness and silence. The woman lived on her own. She felt fear strike her. What if someone was breaking in? Gradually, she got out of bed and stepped out of the bedroom. The hallway was eerily quiet. Nothing seemed to be there. Perhaps it was just a mouse.
The fucking snap of her feet into the slippers.
Yeah. Also, if she's a member of Tenby, she would know something bad's gonna happen. Like, everyone in Tenby knows about the Crooked Man.
Well, I'm guessing that she's not actually a member of Temby.
Yeah.
But then, without warning, a whole foundation of her house seemed to tremble. But it wasn't an earthquake. The wooden bars and metal frames seemed to bend and turn on their own accord. And then, the woman started to scream, as suddenly her arm bent over at a right angle, at odds to her body. Next, her leg turned the other way, stretching out, tearing ligaments and shattering bones. She screamed as her body's bones stretched and tore and broke until she became...
The Crooked Man doesn't do it like that.
Yes, it happens randomly, out of nowhere, without any reason, and they can feel it instantly happening.
Yeah.
Sarcasm.
I just find it funny that she's apparently made out of paper.
Yeah.
It looks like a crumpled piece of paper is her arm.
A screaming, crumpled piece of paper.
Spiders.
What?
What?
I said goddamn spider. Minecraft.
Oh.
Gotcha.
I thought you were randomly cursing all spiders. Like, excuse me, one is my sibling.
3, 2, 1.
Nothing but a crooked corpse. Welcome back to SCP Exposed. Today, we bring you Keter class object SCP-783. Although it...
What the fuck is that? I forgot they created a silhouette for 783. 783's physical description is unknown. Oh,
It
yeah.
looks like it looks like
Oh,
Paul
yeah,
Goofy.
it looked like Goofy.
I forgot we called him Goofy.
Like Slender Goofy or something. Oh,
Slender
no.
Goofy.
The crooked Goofy on the crooked path with the crooked house. Oh.
Die, sheep.
Oh my god. 3, 2, 1.
Though it has not been seen by the naked eye, SCP-783 is some sort of entity that has been wreaking havoc on the
Oh my
small town of Temby, located in...
How many legs does it have?
I think it's just 2, but it's like really gooey, mangled something or another. Just walking casually down the street. Couple random people sprinting away.
Oxfordshire, England, for quite some time. The entity only seems to be active every 12 years and preys only in the fall and winter months.
What
It
is
exclusively
going on?
attacks those who are alone and indoors after sunset. Buildings housing SCP-783's current...
Wait, why is the building falling? That's not what it
Yeah,
is.
that's right. I remember us getting peeved because they're depicting quote-unquote Tenby as like some fucking
Yeah.
actual city with
Yeah, when it's like
skyscrapers.
supposed to be an old school sort of
Yeah.
town.
Also, when the buildings come crooked, they don't fall to the ground and turn to dust.
They're just old fucking buildings. Which don't involve skyscrapers. It's a town, not a city. How big do you think towns are?
Yes. In my town of 500 or so population, my favorite spot to go to is my my local skyscraper. I climb the skyscraper and then I look down and I think, wow, I love having a skyscraper in my population 500 town. My favorite skyscrapers are those that exist in places whose population density is primarily cattle. What do you want, bro?
If a skyscraper like that looks like it's full of like offices existed in Tenby, its primary people would probably be people from outside the city, because otherwise it would require so many people that the city couldn't function. Like, who sells the groceries at the grocery store? We don't have one. We need to fill the skyscraper. Who raises the cattle? We need to fill the skyscraper.
Who needs cattle? There is skyscraper. Put the cows in the skyscraper.
Oh my gosh. No, what I'm thinking now is instead of cows in a pasture, they just put a bunch of skyscrapers in a pasture.
They put a bunch of like miniature scale models of the skyscraper out in the pasture.
And just randomly toss cow feed in there. Just like, there you go. There you go, skyscrapers.
Have a fucking PA system that someone in the skyscraper occasionally goes onto and just goes,
Oh, let's go back to the video. Also, I don't like how the bird's looking at me.
that bird is thinking violent thoughts.
Listen, 3, 2, 1.
Target will experience a steady degradation of their structural integrity. Outwardly, this is visible as faults and breaks on the outer facade, which lend affected structures an angled or crooked appearance. This anomaly extends to any objects which breach the affected building's exterior.
Facade correctly?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Causing immediate
Did
and
you say
severe
the word
deformation.
facade correctly?
Yeah.
You didn't say facade
No, I said
or
facade.
faked? Good. You're learning.
Also, look how awful the fucking crookedness is happening.
That would normally be fatal to living subjects.
It's just
Despite the nature of these
Oh my god. Oh god damn it, it's doing the fucking okay mean thing.
You lost.
God damn it, we lost.
injuries, most victims are alive after the cessation of an SCP-783 attack, though they often suffer full body paralysis or remain in a persistent vegetative state. 27 living specimens have been acquired and placed on life support.
Completely normal people.
Just normal ass people. Hey, we've got a black person. Downside, they just so happen to be one of the victims.
I mean, there was a black person on the TV. Kidding.
Oh, there was? Oh, okay. I missed that. I'm playing Minecraft.
Yeah.
Minecraft is better than content.
That's fair.
The black person is one of 3 triplets.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
they're triplets, but they all came out as different races. You got
so it can actually happen.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Really
But it would be a hell of a thing to explain to people. Like, yeah, we're triplets. And like you've got one that looks outwardly Asian, one that looks like looks outwardly fucking British, one that looks like an African American.
Yeah, and depending on the parent who's looking after them, 1 or 2 of the kids will be questioned if they're yours or not.
Wait, is it actually physically possible for that to happen?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Aaron, I am Aaron, me and my 2 blood siblings, all 3 of us have different skin tones.
Yeah.
My dad and his 2 siblings, when my dad and his brother were still alive, and it wasn't just the uncle alive, all 3 of them had different skin tones.
Ow.
Were you just not paying attention? This entire section, like this entire fucking tangent, started with Jerry saying that's actually possible.
No. Anyways, I'll look at the
And
video.
think of this: when one of the parents are mixed race, the possibility of other skin tones don't automatically vanish off. They have at least 2 possibilities saved in their genetics. It's just only one of them is fucking active.
Gotcha.
So this is they can be triplets. So if they were all triplets and all infected at the same time, that would be hilarious and horrible. I'm sorry.
Anyways, 3, 2, 1.
They are currently held in a wing of the local hospital located in Temby, given by the locals for Foundation use.
St. William's Hospital.
Today, personnel have not been able to prevent any of the entity's attacks, nor have they been able to offer aid to
Oh
its
my
victims.
god.
Due to this, as well as SCP-783's effects on recording equipment, little is known regarding the entity's exact appearance and the nature of its power.
Shadow Goofy.
It also kind of looks like a child's drawing of a siren head.
I could see it, yeah.
Siren Goofy?
Siren Goofy?
I want to go home. I don't want to be anywhere near a world that has anything to do with Siren Goofy.
Who will win in a fight? Siren Head or Siren Goofy?
When are you kidding?
Anyways,
Well, I mean, does Siren Goofy have the abilities of Siren Head, or is he just a siren-shaped goof?
I have no idea.
we don't know. 3, 2, 1.
Victims of the entity attack exhibit gross deformations in their body structure as the result of dozens of compound fractures along their long bones and severely deplaced vertebrae.
Oh my god.
Please click Bad Anatomy. I know we're looking these over all again, and we've already seen these, and so we probably don't need to click it, but please, click Bad Anatomy. For goodness gracious goshness. Oh, please.
Goodness gracious goshness?
I'm trying to not swear.
Oh my god.
Why are you trying to not swear?
I don't want to swear. Click Bad Anatomy.
Fuck, asshole, bitch, cunt.
Aaron! Anyway.
3, 2, 1.
These breaks, however, are then rapidly healed, presumably by the entity. Once they are healed, more breaks are inflicted, until limbs and body structures deform into crooked appearances. One subject's forearm has been reported to extend over 2.4 meters,
It's
and
just
another
the
had a height
same
of
guy, but
12.5
with
meters.
different hair.
The residents of Temby are aware of the existence of SCP-783, though speaking of it publicly is considered taboo. Researchers have documented a playground song shared among local youths regarding the
Oh,
anomaly.
he's gonna sing the
There
song.
lived a crooked man who made a crooked deal.
Oh.
He kept a crooked cane and
Oh,
he's kept
God.
a crooked grill. He stole a crooked child who cried a crooked squeal. And that crooked little
Shut
head
up!
was broken on the wheel.
That was
Shut the
so
fuck up!
bad.
Panda!
What? Oh, Minecraft.
Panda. There's a panda.
That was so bad. I forgot how much I hated him doing the song.
Well, that's
Panda.
because they don't know how the fucking rhyme even sounds, and they make horrible versions of kid voices. Like they've
Mr.
never heard a child before, or a rhyme.
Of
Mr.
course.
Panda, could you please murder me?
No. Anyways, Jerry, of course they haven't been around children. They're virgins.
Aaron, the implications of what you just said are
Oh,
awful.
wait.
They haven't
Oh,
had
wait.
children.
Oh, that came out wrong.
It's very stupid. He's sort of assuming that you can never see children unless you have one. Because aunts and uncles don't exist.
That came out wrong.
Ooh, desert.
Anyways, 3, 2, 1.
A month prior to SCP-783's current period of activity, Subject D-209 was selected from a group of volunteers to live in a Foundation-owned property in Temby. Audio and video recording equipment was installed throughout the house for observation purposes. The following was recorded on the 43rd day of his stay. The subject can be seen
They're
sitting
just
upright in bed reading a
always
book.
wearing their
In the living room,
jumpsuit.
camera footage.
Yes. Oh, I forgot how much I hated the static.
Hmm.
You know what
Yes,
would
this is
look like
static.
better static? Random lines. As in, you know, the back and forth lines.
I mean, I was about to say, this is a bunch of random lines.
It's not the same as static random lines.
I feel like I feel like I could piss better static than this.
Sorry.
Anyways, in 3, 2, 1.
Experiences a jagged vertical distortion in its display. This begins on the left of the frame, near the front door, and crosses over to the right side towards the hallway. It lasts approximately 23 seconds. In the bottom floor hallway, footage shows that floodlights from the window opposing the camera are obscuring something entering the hallway. A similar distortion effect occurs center frame, masking the
Invisibility cloak, Siren Goofy. Hello,
object.
cow.
Suddenly, the camera cuts off and ceases transmission. In the bottom floor living room, distortion can be seen to the left of the frame. As SCP-783
Oh
enters,
my god.
it appears as a jagged line, much like a zigzag.
That is not a jagged line. That is not a jagged line. The break.
Oh,
That is the farthest thing from a jagged line.
hey, look at this jagged line, and it's just a brick.
Yeah.
Like a zigzag. Back in the bedroom, the subject jerks upright, alert. He tells personnel that he hears a slow, prolonged scratching sound coming from the bottom floor. He begins to get up out of bed. Suddenly, footage from the staircase goes out and loses connection. From within his bedroom, audio devices catch the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps ascending the stairs. The subject attempts to open the window in his bedroom and escape, to no avail. The subject grabs a lamp from the nightstand and tries to smash the window open. Footage from the hallway outside suddenly ceases transmission as SCP-783 moves directly in front of the camera. Then, the subject freezes as a knock is heard at the door to his bedroom. The subject approaches the door,
Why is
wielding
it
the lamp as a
a
weapon.
long bedroom?
Wait, yeah,
Why is
wait a
his
minute.
bedroom so long?
Yeah, why is it so long?
His bedroom is a hallway.
They're like, there's not enough bedroom and there's no bedrooms in this house. Let me just take this one hallway and put a wall and make a bedroom.
This is how we learn that the SCP Foundation is apparently a scummy landlord. I need to shove more tenants into this apartment. Ah! You can just sleep in the hallway. That's a room, right?
Marshall Carter and Dark approves.
Oh
my gosh,
goodness.
the house just gets a Marshall Carter Dark seal of approval.
Shows him breaking apart. Marshall Carter and Dark approves this message.
At the door to his bedroom. The subject approaches the door, wielding the lamp as a weapon. He asks for the individual at the door to identify themselves, receiving no response. He then asks Control if any personnel were able to gain entry.
And he's
Observing
just casually waving it next to it, like casually carrying it,
Yeah.
like I would a fucking suitcase. That's how I wield a lamp as a weapon, not like have it over my head ready to strike. Nah.
Personnel maintain radio silence. The subject braces himself and grasps the doorknob with his free hand. He flings open the door. Suddenly, a loud snapping noise is heard throughout the house. All light bulbs on the premises burst simultaneously, including those being used by Foundation personnel observing outside the house. Once the cameras adjust to the sudden darkness, the subject can be seen screaming, clutching his right arm. It has been fractured just above the
They
elbow.
use a 096 screen.
Yeah, seriously, they did.
So this is how 096 was created.
He's really shy about all his crookedness. Shut up!
You know he wants pets no matter what you're doing or not doing.
Half the time he's just screaming to do it. Like, he's just screaming because he can.
You know what makes this video more bearable? The spider gifts I put at the side. Those make me happy.
Yeah, I love how that spider's just pissed off. It's like, bitch.
Well, they were poking in the spider's house. of course they'll be angry. Like, the fuck are you doing?
Anyway,
Fire angry closes the door.
it would be interesting if Minecraft added trapdoor spiders to as a mob.
I don't think they'd do that since it'd be a spider that would get angry at you if you tried to break into their house but would leave you alone. Like, what would
I
they
don't know
do
that.
with it? Allow you to feed it, like, meats and then it would give you silk? Actually, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they could make it into like another way to farm string and
Yeah.
cobwebs without
That's
needing to go and
actually-
find a dungeon.
That's actually a good idea, and I hate it.
Yeah. Mojang.
You tame
Your ass to work.
you tame them by ritualistically marking a cow and shoving the cow in front of the gigantic trap door.
I feel like a cat would be too big. That's why I was suggesting, like, throwing meat at it.
Well, you see, I'm thinking of like Minecraft-sized spiders.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Those are huge.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the video at hand.
elbow and dangles freely. It is
love that
observed to
trick.
swiftly harden, presumably due to
Oh
rapid
my
bone growth.
god.
From a separate camera in the bathroom, SCP-783 can be seen waiting silently. The subject tries to run, but as soon as he runs past the bathroom, a loud snapping noise is heard. The subject falls to the ground and screams.
Wait,
What the?
what the fuck?
They
is-
didn't play a sound, so he's just sitting there, bobbing his head up and down, and his mouth says.
Yeah.
I hurt myself today.
Anyways, in 3, 2, 1.
Falls to the ground and screams for assistance. He reports that his leg has been broken. The subject is able to bring himself to a stand. He displays his right arm for the camera, which has been broken below the elbow. It is angled in the opposite direction from the previous fracture. The subject curses at the observing personnel, but reports that his pain has mostly subsided. He limps towards the stairs while trying to navigate the stairs. The subject trips and falls. 12 loud snaps are heard in rapid succession. Upon coming to rest,
Check off, but can't.
Well, I'm getting broken by the crooked man. Might as well whack off one last time.
They moved the shoulder.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Alright, and 3.
Long. I mean, that's probably the best crooked arm they've done thus far.
Yeah.
But it just fucking impotently flapping there.
3, 2, 1.
the subject exhibits several more fractures in various places along each limb. He screams as they sat and spasms on the landing. After a few seconds of silence, the subject starts to try and move. He struggles to crawl, eventually passing out of frame. From the bottom floor living room camera, the subject can be seen dragging himself into the room. He strains, moving with great difficulty due to his deformed limbs. Each arm is estimated to be over 2 meters in length, with several inflexible breaks that inhibit motion around obstacles. Meanwhile, in the bottom floor kitchen, SCP-783 is spotted for a brief second, but then the entity seems to disappear. Back in the living room, the subject now occupies the majority of the space in the living room, his lower leg stretched out of frame into the hallway. He has a hand on the knob of the front door, but the length of his fingers does not allow him to turn the knob. A scratching sound.
Right.
We're getting a shot.
It's around the knob.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, the
saying,
length of his fingers.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
They're like,
definitely.
you cannot reach around the knob. Reaches around the knob.
Yeah.
Come here, you big baby.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up,
I think he's talking to Festus.
Aaron. I hate to tell you this, but you're nowhere as much of a good boy as Festus is.
I know, 'cause I'm one.
You're nowhere as good as Festus. Festus. Who's my lad? Who's my big old boy?
Yeah. Anyways. 3, 2, 1.
Fingers does not allow him to turn the knob. A scratching sound is audible in the hallway. The subject has started to cry. Suddenly, something out of frame drags him away. He screams, but then his screams are cut off abruptly. The events of this day proved to be rather worrisome for Foundation personnel. They were unable to access the house due to the deformities of its structure, and the events had occurred so quickly that it prevented swift action. The subject's body was retrieved the next morning, already dead. Additionally, at the time the subject's screams ceased, all 27 living SCP-783 victims in Foundation care went into seizure. Despite the fact that the majority were brain dead or wholly paralyzed, they convulsed for several minutes. 2 present researchers were injured during the incident. Life support systems for several patients were compromised, killing 5. A vast quantity of earth was destroyed.
Shows a working machine. All life support systems were compromised.
My favorite, like, I just love being gaslit by SCP content farms, you know? It's like such a thrill for them to read something and then animate a completely different thing and act like I'm not gonna notice.
Also, I just realized they put a skyscraper in a residential area.
Yeah. Wait,
Huh?
why? Why is
That
one of the houses...
giant two-story building.
I wouldn't describe that as a skyscraper. That just looks like it could have 3 stories.
Also, why does it kind of look like a cock?
It's shaped like an L.
Uh-huh.
That's not the same shape.
It's time for your hourly PSA, kids. Kids, if you at home look down and you've got an L-shaped dick, go to the hospital.
Agreed.
I think we had this exact same thing when last time we did this one.
No, we didn't. I would have remembered this.
It's a 3, 2.
Aaron looks at the English language and sees the letter L and thinks, "Ah, yes, that is what a penis is shaped like. I know anatomy well."
I do. Anyways, in 3, 2, 1.
No,
On
you
the
don't.
outskirts of Temby during this time. After this event, reports were made of activity
Oh
in the
my
burial
God.
grounds for SCP-783 victims. When Foundation personnel were dispatched to the scene, they found the toes and fingers of the victims peeking out from underground. After approval from commanders at the time, the grave was dug up and bodies were inspected. The corpses were inanimate.
Hold on. That's not at all what it was. It's a massive pit of bodies.
I'm so tired of it gaslighting us. What is it? What it was like the grave was dug up, and they decided to visualize that by them apparently digging up a fucking irrelevant grave several feet over.
Yeah, in the file, it wasn't one tombstone. It was a mass burial.
Yeah.
And the bodies were still moving.
Alright, in 3, 2.
Up and bodies were inspected. The corpses were inanimate, but Agent Singer, a head overseer of the inspection, suddenly felt the bodies beneath her give way, and then she was sucked into the mass of bodies and soon lost from sight.
Wait, I think Agent Singer was a dude. Oh wait, no, it was Researcher Singer. Yeah, during this process of soil beneath him, they changed the dude into a woman.
Yay. Have to have women somehow.
Oh, I
And they
believe they cut the one woman out later, so that's probably why they did it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let's find out.
Watch
Oh
the
no,
week.
they definitely they don't keep anything from the second document.
Yeah. Also, watch
They
Agent.
really did add her because they cut the other lady out.
Yeah. Also, watch Agent Collins be a dude when I think they're a woman. Agent Collins. Yeah, Agent Collins is a woman.
For the next hour, personnel tried to retrieve Agent Singer using rope and a pulley system, but there was no sign of her. Next, Subject D-2172 was called upon the
Agent
scene
Collins,
to
I
travel
even
into the pit and relocate Agent Singer. He was attached to a heavy harness and lowered into the pit. The corpses remained inanimate.
Oh
The
my
following
God.
is a recording of the subject's expedition into the pit. Transmission begins as the subject is being lowered by crane over the pit of SCP-783 victims. Visual feed reduces in clarity intermittently as limbs and bodies pass close to the lenses.
Oh my God.
At 18 meters, the subject reports a sense of vertigo and expresses confusion regarding the direction of travel. After a brief discussion with command, it is determined that the subject had experienced an inversion of gravity. The subject manages to reorient themselves and proceeds to climb upwards from their perspective in order to continue descent. Ambient light levels begin to
I
increase
like
as
how
20
they're
meters.
showing him
That's
going
not.
through.
Are you? Oh my fucking god, Ron.
Like they're going
If
through
you want to be lazy, you can just you can just take his model, flip it the other way, and play the footage, but as if he's going upward. But the way that they do it makes it pretty damn obvious that there's been no inversion of gravity, and he's just going back up the way that he came in.
Also, you notice how the pit is mostly empty as he's going through it?
Yeah. I mean, trying to draw that many crooked bodies would just blow through their entire fucking crack budget.
You know, there's an easy way for them to draw it.
Copy and paste.
Just draw spaghetti and then add heads. Think about it. Most of them are all like the crooked people, so you could literally do that.
True,
Anyways,
but doing that would cut too much into the crack budget.
yeah. Anyways, 3, 2, 1.
Meters of tether are expanded. Daylight can be seen shortly thereafter. From the camera view, it appears to be the same town of Temby, and is assumed
Oh
to
my
be some
God.
sort of alternate reality. The subject pans the camera down to show the mound of corpses at their
Oh,
feet.
there's one for
To the
game.
north is a small stone cottage belonging to a Mr. John Myers, and beyond that, the main road into town. The subject is asked to inspect the cottage, and they comply. Inside, the cottage is abandoned. There's nothing unordinary apart from an odd sketching, seemingly made of charcoal, on the wall by the bed.
There's a reason why I stopped right there. Wait, isn't there? No, yeah, it wasn't on paper. It was literally on the wall. I feel like they put more effort in putting it on fucking paper than just pasting that on the fucking wall.
Well, yeah. You'd have to acquire paper. It's in
The sketching
short
appears to be of a
supply
human.
since we keep papers in short supply since we keep using it to measure out lines and snort them up. You know, it's an important. They're really showing their dedication to this slop by
Yeah.
using one of their potential crack snorting papers
Also,
to draw this.
yeah, it's a good thing their arm isn't straight.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's very close to a certain pose.
The crooked man is a Nazi.
3, 2.
Human figure sat up, stretching out a hand as if begging for help. The subject backs away from the drawing, expressing a sense of unease in its presence. The subject is asked to head outside and walk down the
Oh
road.
my God.
After a few minutes of walking, the subject finds a boot on the road. They pick it up and note that it belongs to Agent Singer. The subject is asked to inspect the nearby 2-story building. The subject enters. Unlike the cottage, this place appears in a mess. Couches and cupboards lay scattered and overturned. As the subject nears the kitchen sink, a small pool of blood can be seen on the floor. There is a clear pattern of cast-off spatter on the walls and counter, with long strokes
Okay.
indicating that an assailant delivered several successive blows with a bladed weapon. The subject kneels to take a sample of the blood, and upon standing, a butcher's block can be seen laying on its side next to the sink. A series of passive bloodstains leads from the subject's location and towards a door on the far end of the room.
God,
The
stop
subject opens
using.
the door, and this
Oh my God! Stop using the same goddamn hallway shot.
Also, this is not a basement.
It looks kind of like the entrance to a subway station.
Yeah. The basement is
know.
a subway station.
As we all know, the average residential building in Old Town, UK, includes subway stations
No, they
in the
don't.
basement.
No.
They have subways that take them wherever they want to go. That's how the people out in Temby get where they need to go. It's all a part of how they easily enter and exit the skyscraper of Temby. All hail the Temby skyscraper.
Oh my god.
They all enter the Temby skyscraper through the basement subways and go to work in the Temby skyscraper, where they have their cows and their crops and their cafeterias.
Why does this sound like this could be an SCP onto itself?
I mean, I'm somewhat basing it off of an SCP I remember in the back of my head. Like an entire society built up in like this one skyscraper.
Oh yeah. I thought you were gonna mention London, which is London that's under London.
I never actually read Onion London. Onion London.
London. It's the London that's above London. It's just made out of onions.
No, it's London, except it's just an onion. It's just an onion on the London street. It's the Onion London. London Onion. It's the most popular tourist spot. To go to London, you go to see the onion. They placed it on the same street that fucking bug-based boy band walked down. Yeah, that one.
Oh my god.
Wait, I don't think that photo was taken in London. Whatever.
Anyways, in 3, 2, 1.
Leads down to a basement. The subject expresses a refusal to head down, but control threatens leaving them behind in this alternate reality if he does not investigate the basement, and so they comply. In the basement, more blood stains the walls and floors. A small vent appears, particularly messy. The subject inspects it, and from the camera view, a fleshy substance can be seen crawling down the vent.
Oh my god.
The subject cries out and backs away, and then escapes from the basement in a hurry. Outside, victims
The
of
Crooked Man
SCP-703
vented.
can
Victims of
I
the
saw the
Crooked
Crooked
Man.
Man vent.
Completely normal people. Victims.
It's just random dead guys. And again, now, what is it? We have a total of 3 black folks in the video, and 2 of them are victims of the Crooked Man.
Yeah.
Honestly, since most of the characters that pop up are victims, I don't really mind that.
Yeah.
I suppose, but you could have at least made a fucking foundation person,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like one of the researchers.
could have, but they need to think. And
Make
thinking
make
is hard.
make the fucking geriatric asshole that's screaming orders to this geriatric a D class. Make him a black guy. It's not that hard.
3, 2, 1.
Is
now be seen
Director
littering.
Kim a woman or a man?
I would believe a woman.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Director Kim Possible. No relation.
It's in 3, 2,
The streets. They appear dead as the subject moves. Cracking sounds can be heard, and a pan of the camera reveals these corpses have changed positions. The subject begins to panic and takes off running despite Control's orders to stay on the road. The subject disappears into the woods seeking cover. The subject continues to run for some time. They're attempting to exit the town of Temby, but as they run, suddenly they cry out in shock as they find themselves.
They're back on the road, even though they're supposed to be in the forest.
Oh my fucking god, man.
This video is full of contradictions.
I am so tired.
Slender Goofy? Are you a horse?
Yes.
Let me
Are
get
you
the
okay?
gift. No, I'm Horsehead now. I am Horsehead now. Congratulations, this video has brought out the horse in me. No one wants to see the horse in me. Let me get the gif of the horse of absolute agreement.
Do you want me to
I
continue
guess
video or wait?
you've got a horse in you. Never
Wait a
mind, that
minute.
goes fast.
Wait a minute. We don't need a Mr. Hands incident.
Jerry? Jerry. Jerry. We are not talking about my hentai collection.
Am I the only one who understands about Mr. Hands?
I guess not. I guess, yeah. Anyway, here's the horse of absolute agreement.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
Oh wait, I can get another more fitting image.
I think I just finished laughing.
Yes.
I can talk again.
Oh my god.
There's one gif of, yeah, here we go. Aaron Yeager brainwashing a horse. Go, commit violence. This is great because put into context, that horse immediately proceeds to bite a child on the head.
Oh my god.
This is a great edit, though. Aaron brainwashing the horse.
I'm sorry for doing the weird song. I was just thinking it would be a cute mod and you've got a friend in me.
You're fine.
Yeah.
But for the record, I do not have a horse in me.
Yeah, that's a phrase that made me remind of Mr. Hands. But to a point, let's just say, a guy went to go check on his horse, and let's just say the horse got too freaky and the guy died.
Oh!
He was literally that to death by the horse. That happened. That's what it reminded of.
Anyway, is this stream now about my hentai collection? That'd be a preferable outcome to this.
No. Anyways, in 3, 2, 1.
Back at the cottage. Despite running in one direction for 20 minutes, the subject has returned to the town of Temby. Control finds this particularly interesting. Suddenly, the subject screams and the camera pans upward. The form of Agent Singer is suspended high in the air, balanced on elongated and grossly enlarged fingers. The Singer creature...
This looks more like the When Day Breaks instance.
Yes, as we all know, the Crooked Man likes to melt people.
I don't think that's what he does, but that has been accurate so far. Why not go all out?
He must melt people. It's what he does. That's what the entire SCP's been about, don't you know? It's all about melting people.
No.
It's what he does.
It's making them crooked.
Yeah, but then he melts them. It's right there in the article, you know? It's just
No.
It's just like he makes them crooked and then he like takes them and he fucking melts them down, turns them into human ingots to make human armor out of.
What?
Then forge himself the suit of human armor made out of humans and wear it into combat while he fights dragons.
Are you okay?
Now.
I'm never okay.
3, 2, 1.
Screams a hollow sound and pounces on the subject. The subject can be seen bringing out their firearm and rounding 6 shots into Singer. Singer displays no reaction.
I don't think that's how guns work.
That was so. He's just fucking waving it back and forth. There's no way in hell that tiny ass gun has enough recoil to be causing his arm to go that far back, unless he's actually just that weak from old age.
Yeah. Or if it's a hand cannon, but I don't think that's what that is.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Hand cannons don't look that way.
I was literally specifically talking about how it's a small gun.
Yeah.
Any interpretation of a hand cannon is not going to be a small gun.
I've never seen one. I always pictured they were small.
Let me show you a picture of a hand cannon.
Oh my fucking god.
Fun
What?
fact: they were made in the medieval ages.
It's literally just a small cannon. It's a precursor to guns.
I'm pretty sure they're banned in most states.
Here we go. Here is the oldest version of a hand cannon.
I've also heard hand cannon used as yeah, it's literally just a cannon, but small. I've also heard hand cannon used to refer to extremely high caliber pistols, which again would not be small.
Ah.
Also, this gun seems to be called a Japanese hand cannon. Let me just paste this. Discord, cooperate!
Now.
Aaron, I will bite you.
That is the cutest implement of death I have ever seen.
It looks
I want
tiny,
this.
it looks adorable. It looks like it could blow your arm off.
Yeah. Also, here, I do know this because this fact information when I was in high school. Apparently, if you're in the army, you can legally own a hand cannon and take it with you.
You cut out. What'd you say?
Oh, I said I learned this in high school, but apparently, in the army, you can legally own a hand cannon and take it with you to battle.
You cut it out again.
Am I actually cutting out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hurry, let me try that again, you fucking Discord. But I was saying, in high school, I learned that you can legally own a hand cannon and take it into battle in the army in America.
Well, I imagine guns are more dangerous.
Yeah, but the fact that you can take one,
Why though?
I don't know.
Why would you? Anyway.
Yeah,
Seems a bit extra.
yeah. Instead of shooting you with an AK, I'm gonna shoot you with the thing that was made before guns.
It's like the stupider version of that one guy who marched into World War II with a fucking basket hill broadsword and a longbow.
I'm guessing he was murdered very easily.
No, he was not.
Oh.
He came back a war hero. He captured
Oh.
entire Nazi division
How
on
the
his own.
fuck?
The man was built different.
Apparently.
Jeez.
There was also a guy who was considered the last knight, or called the last knight, who fought on horseback in World War One and literally faced down some of the earliest versions of tanks while on horseback.
Oh my god.
Some people really are built different. Holy heckin'.
Oh yeah, and the best part, the best part about the Basket Hill broadsword guy, if I remember correctly, he wasn't Scottish. Well, he was ethnically Scottish, but he wasn't from Scotland. He was from Canada.
Okay, now that makes more sense.
He left Canada, armed himself with some historically Scottish weapons, and defeated a shit ton of Nazis with them.
That makes
That's
more
very
sense.
Canadian. You know what they have
He
to deal
is-
with in Canada? Moose.
He truly was the main character. He was the guy, like, he was the guy who was the main character of World War II, and he decided to go into it not with a practical setup, but like some random bullshit build that I could come up with in Skyrim, and he still beat the game.
Well, there are like a few main characters of World War II. There's one I know of, I forgot his name, but he entered the war. He literally like signed up for it, but he also said he refused to use any guns or anything. He was just going to be a
Oh
medic.
yeah, that guy. Yeah, I remember him.
And he caught so many fucking Nazis. Oh my gosh.
It's also important to again remind everyone that the Allies used literal Looney Tunes tactics to beat the Nazis, and it worked at multiple points. They dropped dead bodies with fake intel just in Nazi waters, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is trustworthy," and they use literal inflatable tanks and vehicles to make some Nazis think that they're being invaded in a different area during D-Day.
Yeah.
Like just straight up Looney Tunes shenanigans.
The head of the army at that time was Bugs Bunny.
Oh my gosh.
I'm thinking more the Roadrunner.
Roadrunner makes
Sounds
more sense.
Sounds like some Acme stuff. Actually, wait, no, I guess it would. If it's Acme, then it would be Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
It's like if the Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner had a kid together.
I don't think that will ever happen.
Who knows?
Oh, it's happened. You haven't been in furry spaces long enough.
Oh my god, Hatchet. Anyways,
See?
let's finish the video. We're almost done. 3, 2, 1.
The wounds. The subject calls to Control to reel them back in using the harness, and Control complies. The subject suddenly lurches as they're dragged back, but the Singer creature still pounces after him. Suddenly, the camera footage ceases, the last frame being of Singer's deformed face with 3 bullet holes in it, snarling like a wild animal.
Ow.
2 hours later, back at the surface, the pulley system continues to reel the subject's harness in. Eventually it does, and the subject's hand is spotted. Personnel help to drag the subject out from the pit of corpses, but realize there's nothing left of the subject except for their dismembered hand. They let go, and the hand crawls away back
No,
into the pit.
that's not what happened.
What did you think of the SCP game?
That's not what happened.
The hand kept going, so they let go, and it went back into the corpse pit.
Okay, so... Alright, so... Holy shit, I just realized there's a bunch of people not mentioned in the video.
They cut out
Yeah.
half. They effectively cut out half of the story, and like as such, a significant portion of character.
Well,
Yeah,
even at that, they cut out a portion of the characters that were in the first part as well, like
Yeah.
Director Kim.
As well as D209, D774, Dr. Lafayette, Private Odd, Agent Collins, Dr. Peterson. I could go on.
Yeah, just call that section. If we didn't put, wait, what
Oh
number?
yeah, how
Put
many did we
2.
put for?
For removal of character status license.
I think we need to put a 4.
Yeah, that's what were we smoking when we put 2? That is 4.
I think we put 2 because it's like, well, they removed most of the characters, but they kept the license. But after a while, after so many characters, you need to make it up further. They removed so many characters.
I would actually guess that that was back when like I was kind of trying to say like let's judge them by what's actually in the video rather than like what could have or should have been in the video. So like my thinking was
Oh,
comparatively there weren't as many cut characters from the video in the section that they did cover. But I was also probably high on bullshit, so
Yeah.
you
So,
wanted to believe in them still, basically.
yeah.
something like that.
Now you've basically just stopped doing that.
I don't care anymore.
You've
Uh,
become jaded like us.
yeah. Alter / added gore or violence.
One seems fitting.
Right? It deviates from the plot of the article. You put it at a 2.
What the fuck? What the fuck were we? Oh, I think the idea was that like they cut out half of the article, so it's half of the score.
Yeah, but the half that was left was also modified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I would.
A 3?
I'd bump it up to a 3. Yeah.
It's not totally different, but it's definitely not a 2.
Alright, only made in a video slash offensiveness, we left it at a 2.
Dude, I'm trying to figure out why we did that. Maybe because most of the people of color shown were victims.
Actually, what black person wasn't a victim?
The one on TV.
Wasn't there? Yeah, there was like a news anchor guy or something.
At the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why we did a 2, but
Did we change it?
okay, let's think. How many women were in the video?
Oh, that might be it, because the only woman that I think there are only 2 women that we saw, and both were victims.
And plus, one of the women was a person who was not supposed to be a woman.
Also, they cut out an important female character,
Here.
Director Kim, who becomes part of their own SCP horde thing.
As well as Agent Collins. Agent Collins was female and very important to 73.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the 2 makes sense.
Yeah. I'd stick at the 2, yeah.
There's a lot of weird amount of misogyny they didn't need.
Wow, this one dropped really bad. Look at that. It dropped 15%.
It's almost as if we added about 3 points to it.